Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change News Show, where we keep you up to date and informed about what the hell is really happening in this world, away from the left-right divide and conquer scheme. And today, there's actually some good news with Google, Monsanto, the British public, the Soros Open Society, and a lot more. So don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom like the mainstream media likes to make you think, but there are some actual issues that we do have to deal with. And obviously, there's still massive blowback, and the world is reacting to now 59 dead Palestinians that were killed yesterday at the Gaza-Israel border by Israeli snipers. The Gaza Ministry of Health actually released the photos and names of all the 59 people that were killed yesterday, with even Doctors Without Borders releasing an official statement saying, quote, "What happened today is unacceptable and inhumane. The 1,359 wounded with live ammunition is staggering. It is unbearable to witness such a massive number of unarmed people being shot in such a short time." And obviously, many people online, many people around the world are outraged by yesterday's actions, but it looks like it's only emboldening the United States and Israel, as today an Israeli government minister has justified the killings in Gaza by Israeli occupation forces by calling Palestinians Nazis today. Donald Trump's UN ambassador Nikki Haley today applauded Israel for its, quote, restraint, and said, quote, "No country in this chamber would act with more restraint than Israel has." She said this in the United Nations today as the UN Security Council was criticizing Israel over their violent response to the Gaza protests, with even major US ally Britain calling for an inquiry and investigation into the killings that happened yesterday, which of course the United States blocked at the United Nations and prevented an independent probe of what actually happened there. And as the Palestinian delegation was about to talk to the United Nations, Nikki Haley and the U.S. envoy, of course, walked out from even hearing the Palestinian envoy talk. And we have to understand here, with Donald Trump's spearhead movement establishing the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem now, he has opened up a new era of bloodshed that will not end, that will only escalate from here, as more similar protests are being planned and will be carried out in the next few days in the same territory, which of course will only bring more bloodshed, tension, and chaos to an already very turbulent Middle East. Which, convince me if I'm wrong, which a lot of you do think I'm wrong, I think is a horrible idea, and a story that of course we will be following very closely on this YouTube channel, which we're also getting punished for by the YouTube algorithm and censorship efforts for even addressing. But regardless, this is a very important issue that we will keep talking about regardless of the circumstances that we have to deal with because of that. And now, in other disastrous foreign policy news, we are getting news today from North Korea that they have abruptly canceled their talks with South Korea that was set for this Wednesday, threatening to walk away from the table because of a joint U.S.-South Korea military drill called Max Thunder that will simulate an invasion of North Korea, which I told you for years now on this YouTube channel that this is the major component when it comes to tensions between North Korea and the United States. If you have been watching our Sunday news broadcast, I have been elaborating on this. I've been very pessimistic of our North Korea peace deal, especially with John Bolton at the head, ushering the Libyan model, which is a direct response to Kim Jong-un saying he doesn't want to end up like Libya. And we told you that for years now, China and North Korea have offered up a peace deal, the end of their nuclear program, if and only if the United States stops these military drills. Barack Obama turned this deal down a number of times, so did Donald Trump, and now it looks like with this major stipulation that the North Koreans have asked for and the United States is now violating, these peace talks are ultimately not going to go anywhere, which is great news for the military-industrial complex and neoconservatives like John Bolton at the helm of Donald Trump's administration. And that's why every Sunday when we talk about this issue, I'm like, watch out, look out. John Bolton's going to screw this up. The U.S. military-industrial complex is going to screw up this peace deal. And it looks like that is exactly what is happening right now. And we have to understand here, the stakes here are very high. With more aggressive U.S. actions and the world turning its back against the United States because of those actions, it will only predominantly bolster our main competitors in world hegemony, Russia and China, to take away more power away from the West and influence, which overall is an extremely bad thing for the United States. And the United States foregoing diplomacy, foregoing any kind of resolution or peace, will of course shape the world in a very dramatically different viewpoint that ultimately suck and aren't good for anyone. And now in also other bad decisions by the United States, we're also learning today that Gina Haspel has actually garnered enough votes today to be confirmed as the new CIA director. And just so you know, this is the same Gina Haspel that former CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou came out and said he personally witnessed the CIA director take sadistic enjoyment in inflicting unusual torture on her prisoners. And now this is going to be head of the largest clandestine, secretive, elusive, and unaccountable organization of the government. And now, of course, she's trying to save face by issuing a statement today saying that the CIA torture program shouldn't have even been conducted, but she also repeatedly refused to weigh in on its morality, which obviously, if you're torturing somebody under old archaic medieval techniques that knowingly don't even work, yeah, I think it's pretty clear. There's no morality there at all. And now in other evil people torturing news, we of course are getting the latest information from Julian Assange of WikiLeaks, which we're finding out that now more than 6 years after being illegally held up in the Ecuadorian embassy of London, that now the Ecuadorian government is preparing to hand him over to the UK and US government, which of course would have him immediately indicted with all the secret indictments against him, especially by the US government, which even though Donald Trump has said that he loved WikiLeaks, is still very much set to imprison and arrest them and hold them accountable for releasing information that held the government accountable. There's a lot in that statement. I hope you guys got it. Okay, so that's all pretty bad stuff that's happening here. Let's talk about some good stuff. And some of the good news that we're hearing recently is that some Google employees and executives that actually have some morality have resigned in protest against a specific Pentagon contract that Google and Alphabet are working in cooperation with. More specifically, the military drone AI project, which now over 4,000 employees have petitioned their employer, Google and Alphabet, to end their involvement in, which of course is called Project Maven. And of course will add artificial intelligence and upgraded technological advancements to the Pentagon drone program that of course does not have the best humanitarian record, especially under Barack Drone Bomber, that has expanded the program to over 7 countries and has launched robotic warfare and missiles that has also affected some innocent civilians. Just yesterday we saw insane footage of drones flying overhead in Gaza, launching tear gas canisters on people on the ground there yesterday, which was even used indiscriminately against journalists and press there reporting what was happening. And I have to say, good on the people who actually took a moral stand on this issue, but sadly the program will continue and is something to worry about, especially with the might of Google combining with the Pentagon through, of course, Alphabet, have large implications of a Terminator apocalyptic kind of future. And now in other news about bad companies, we are learning today that Monsanto will most likely be leaving India and their operations there because of a top court decision that upheld a ruling that states that seeds cannot be patented, denying Monsanto their godlike ability to decide that they own the existence of essential seeds and domination over agriculture, which at least India ruled against, but it's still something that is legal here in the United States. And now in other bad companies getting removed news, today we're also finding out that George Soros' Open Society Foundation will close its operation in Hungary due to political pressure put on them by the current Hungarian government, with even the Prime Minister of Hungary going as far as saying that this organization was, quote, repressing civil society, and responded to the decision by saying, "You might understand if I don't cry my eyes out." Also today in other good news, we were finding out that the British public, 2/3 of them, are not really interested in the royal wedding, which the social controllers use as a way to epitomize how great elitism is. But in reality, why should people care about this inbred royalty that are living off welfare? And good on the British public for not giving a damn about these people. But just when you thought Europe was waking up, the Swedes have to come in, and now we're finding out that thousands of them, the people of Sweden, are now embedding microchips underneath their skin to replace their ID cards, which is so stupid. Of course, giving up their essential freedom to make, quote, their lives easier, and they're doing this voluntarily, as about 3,000 people have already done this to themselves, which of course is a government's wet dream, because of course with the encroaching technocratic society that we're all going to be living in soon, what government wouldn't love knowing and seeing everything about your life and having the technological ability to do so at a press of a button? So yeah, that's happening. Sorry for the bummer at the end of the news broadcast. But before we leave, just know that social media is absolutely cancer. And just like the University of Illinois released, actually creates depression and anxiety. Which, by the way, I did a very important video on a few weeks ago that is definitely worth watching, which will be linked in the description below, and hopefully make you realize what's happening to our society before it's too late. And plus, anyway, they demonetize, demote, and censor anyone who's cool anyway, as we're finding out today that Twitter is announcing that it is going to limit the visibility of certain people because of them, quote, behaving bad, which is a very generalized term that will be led up to interpretation and political bias, as we have seen Twitter utilize against their political enemies like Facebook and YouTube, which, by the way, we're getting screwed by very heavily right now with our independent news organization that, of course, doesn't stick to the status quo, likes to make you think, talks about unpopular ideas, and also question the narrative that they're trying to shove down your throat. So yeah, for the few people that are watching this because of the suppressed algorithms and lower viewership count we have, you guys are more important than ever, sharing our videos, getting it out there, and of course, keeping us running through platforms like patreon.com/wearechange. And it is because of your donations that we exist, and that's why I always end every single broadcast by saying, I love you guys! Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.